Arthur Phils is shown performing an advanced resistance-based movement drill designed specifically to enhance the physical qualities needed for high-intensity tennis. He begins in a forward-facing athletic stance, gripping the cable attachment with both hands extended in front of him. The cable is anchored behind him, creating constant backward and rotational tension that forces his core to stabilize. For a tennis player like Phils, this type of anti-rotation training is essential. During rallies, he must control his trunk while producing explosive upper body acceleration, often from awkward or unbalanced positions. To intensify the lower body demands, Phils uses two different resistance bands. One is positioned just above his knees, while the second is looped around his ankles. The band above the knees activates the glute medius and other hip-stabilizing muscles, ensuring his knees track outward and stay stable even during sudden directional changes. The ankle band increases lateral loading by resisting foot separation, meaning every step requires deliberate outward pressure from the hips and ankles. This dual band setup forces Phils to maintain perfect lower body mechanics throughout the drill. In the initial phase, he holds a solid, grounded squat stance with a neutral spine, keeping the cable close to his center of mass. This trains him to absorb and redirect force, similar to the way he must lower his center of gravity when reacting to a wide forehand or a low, fast ball. His feet stay connected to the ground as he resists the cable's pull, building the strength needed to stay balanced under the stress of real match play. Next, Phils performs a small hop and rotates his stance so that he transitions from facing forward to facing sideways. This hop-to-turn movement is one of the most tennis-specific parts of the drill. It mimics how he must adjust his stance in milliseconds when preparing for a running forehand, a defensive stretch shot, or a sudden change of direction forced by his opponent. The rotation trains hip mobility, trunk control, and seamless coordination between the upper and lower body. Arthur is performing a focused, elevated soft tissue release using a foam roller. With his leg raised and fully extended on top of a padded platform, he positions the foam roller under the side of his thigh, targeting the lateral quadriceps and iliotibial band, ITB. By elevating the leg instead of rolling on the floor, he creates a controlled, isolated angle that allows him to apply deeper pressure to very specific muscle fibers, something athletes often do when they need precision rather than full-body weight loading. Arthur stands upright on his supporting leg, maintaining a relaxed but stable posture. One hand rests lightly on his hip while the other assists in balancing and subtly shifting his weight forward and backward. This gives him full control over how much pressure the foam roller applies. Because the leg is positioned high and straight, the muscle is lengthened, making the soft tissue work more effective. This setup exposes tight spots that are sometimes difficult to reach when foam rolling on the floor. This type of elevated rolling is especially valuable for tennis players. The IT band and outer quadriceps take heavy stress from constant lateral movement, sudden decelerations, open stance hitting, and repetitive loading during serves and wide defensive shots. Tightness in this area can lead to restricted hip mobility, reduced stride efficiency, and even knee discomfort. By releasing tension here, Arthur improves his range of motion, movement fluidity, and overall leg function. The slow, deliberate pressure he applies helps break up adhesions and improve tissue elasticity. He likely adjusts the angle slightly, internally or externally rotating the leg, to target different fibers of the lateral thigh. The raised setup also encourages better posture and breathing, preventing the whole body from compensating or collapsing, which can happen during floor-based foam rolling. This is the kind of precise pre-training or recovery technique athletes use to ensure their hips and legs move freely before high-intensity work. It prepares the lower body for explosive footwork, smoother directional changes, and more efficient force transfer through the kinetic chain. He is performing a band-resisted leg extension, brings a set of very specific benefits for tennis performance, going far beyond simply strengthening the quads. This variation targets qualities that directly influence how explosively and efficiently a player moves on court. First, it enhances end-range quadriceps strength, which is critical in tennis because players frequently work from low-loaded positions, especially during wide defensive slides, open stance forehands, and deep return stances. Improving the ability to produce force near full knee extension helps Arthur push out of these positions faster, giving him a more explosive first step. A strong first step often decides who takes control of the rally, and for aggressive baseliners like Phil's, that advantage is essential. Second, the added resistance from the band increases eccentric loading, which is the muscle's ability to control force while lengthening. Tennis is filled with abrupt stops: sprint, break, change direction, re-accelerate. Eccentric quad strength helps Arthur decelerate smoothly and safely, reducing stress on the knee joint and improving stability when landing from jumps or sliding on hard courts. This also contributes to injury prevention, particularly for the patellar tendon, a common trouble area for high-intensity movers. Third, the band introduces variable resistance, meaning the load becomes heavier as the leg straightens. This closely matches how force is produced in many tennis movements, where players generate maximum force as they extend into the ground to push off. Strengthening this pattern improves Arthur's ability to explode into forehands, recover back to center, and engage his kinetic chain more efficiently. A stronger kinetic chain translates into more stable strokes and better timing under pressure. Fourth, the band challenges the ankle and foot stabilizers because the band pulls downward and slightly forward. This forces Arthur to maintain dorsiflexion and ankle integrity, important for quick transitions between small adjustment steps, especially on returns and volleys. Better ankle stability means more precise footwork, which directly elevates shot quality. Finally, this drill supports overall lower body resilience during long matches. Stronger quads delay fatigue, allowing Arthur to maintain pace late in sets and keep his legs under him when rally lengths increase. For an explosive athlete like Phil's, preserving this athleticism deep into matches can be the difference between closing out tight moments or fading physically. Rotational training emphasizes the kinetic chain, the sequence of body segments and joints that work together to generate and transfer energy from the ground through the torso and into the racket. Phil's rotational exercises often begin with his lower body. Strong legs provide the initial force, which is then transmitted upward. For instance, squats and lunges engage the quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and calves, creating a stable base from which rotational torque can emerge. During these movements, the gluteus medius and minimus, along with hip rotators, are crucial as they control the lateral motion and prevent energy leaks during explosive side-to-side movement on the court. The power generated by the legs is then channeled into the core. Phil's rotational workouts typically include medicine ball twists, cable rotations, and torso rotations with resistance bands. These exercises specifically target the obliques, rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis, and erector spinae. When performing a rotational twist, the obliques initiate the rotation, while the transverse abdominis stabilizes the spine and maintains posture. The rectus abdominis controls forward flexion and provides additional torque, while the erector spinae ensures balance and prevents lower back strain. This intricate interplay allows Phil's to transfer energy efficiently from the ground up, translating leg power into explosive rotational force for his forehands and backhands. Upper body muscles further refine the power transfer. The shoulders, particularly the deltoids, are critical for initiating racket acceleration during serves and ground strokes. Rotational training for Phil's includes cable wood choppers and rotational medicine ball throws, which engage the deltoids, pectorals, and latissimus dorsi. The lats help in pulling the racket back and through the ball, while the pecs add a powerful forward thrust. The combination of these muscles working in sync with the rotational movement ensures that every swing carries maximal force without compromising control. Arms and wrists play the final role in precision and speed. While the larger muscle groups generate the bulk of the power, the forearm flexors, extensors, and wrist stabilizers fine-tune the motion, allowing Phil's to impart spin and direction. Rotational exercises often incorporate dynamic racket swings against resistance, mimicking on-court movements while engaging the biceps, triceps, and forearm muscles. This trains the nervous system to coordinate speed, timing, and force, translating strength from the core into precise racket control. He is performing a controlled seated hamstring and adductor reach, which is a highly functional mobility exercise that delivers significant benefits for a modern tennis player. In this drill, Arthur begins by leaning back to relax the hips, then folds forward with control to reach toward the toes of his extended leg. This action blends flexibility, mobility, and trunk stability, making it far more useful than a simple static stretch. The primary muscles involved are the hamstrings, adductors, glutes, hip flexors, and the muscles of the lower back and obliques. By actively engaging these areas, the exercise conditions Arthur's body to move fluidly and safely through the positions he frequently encounters on court. One of the biggest advantages of this drill is its ability to increase functional hamstring length. In tennis, players constantly sprint forward, stop abruptly, stretch for wide balls, and lunge into open stance positions. Tight hamstrings can restrict these movements, reduce stride length, and increase the risk of sudden pulls during fast acceleration or deceleration. By training the hamstrings to lengthen under control, Arthur improves both flexibility and resilience, helping him maintain speed and responsiveness during points. The exercise also targets the adductors, which are crucial in lateral movement. Tennis footwork is multidirectional. Players push off, slide, shuffle, and split step in all directions within seconds. Strong, mobile adductors enable smooth changes of direction and prevent groin strains. This reach drill stretches the inner thigh on the extended leg while engaging the opposite side of the core to stabilize the torso, improving Arthur's ability to stay balanced while moving laterally or hitting on the run. Another benefit is the emphasis on hip mobility, especially rotation and flexion. Modern tennis demands explosive power generated through the hips, whether on open stance forehands, wide backhands, or low defensive shots. Improved hip mobility allows Arthur to drop into low positions without straining the knees or back, and it increases his range of motion for both offense and defense. The box-elevated hamstring slider is one of the best lower body mobility and injury prevention exercises for elite tennis players, and it fits perfectly with the physical demands of Arthur Phil's powerful, athletic playing style. Tennis involves repeated sprinting, abrupt stops, split steps, lunges, and wide defensive recoveries. The hamstrings play a massive role in all of these actions, particularly during sudden decelerations and explosive changes of direction. By performing this slider variation, Arthur is training the hamstrings to function under lengthened, unstable conditions, the exact scenario they face during high-speed points. A major benefit of the exercise is eccentric hamstring strength, which is critical for preventing strains. Tennis players frequently accelerate and decelerate within fractions of a second. Most hamstring injuries occur during these transitions due to weakness or stiffness when the muscle is stretched under load. The sliding disc forces Arthur's hamstring to contract eccentrically as it lengthens, teaching the muscle to withstand force while being stretched. This builds resilience, helping him stay healthy through long tournaments and intense training blocks. Additionally, the elevated leg position improves hip mobility and posterior chain flexibility, which enhances Arthur's ability to get low for wide or defensive shots without losing balance. Greater flexibility in these muscles means smoother movement, better recovery steps, and less energy wasted during rallies. The drill also challenges core and pelvic control, two essential components for stable, powerful stroke production. When Arthur leans forward, his trunk must stay stable to prevent collapsing through the spine. This reinforces the same control he needs when hitting open stance forehands or when absorbing heavy pace from opponents. The sliding action also enhances proprioception and foot placement. Tennis demands precise footwork, and the instability created by the disc improves Arthur's ability to feel and control his leg in space. This contributes to better balance during sudden adjustments or directional changes. Phil's performing the single-leg glute bridge with a Swiss ball is a perfect example of modern tennis conditioning, an exercise that looks simple yet delivers powerful, sport-specific improvements. For a player who relies on explosive movement, strong loading positions, and aggressive ground strokes, this drill directly strengthens the foundation of his entire kinetic chain. The biggest benefit comes from glute activation, especially the gluteus maximus and gluteus medius. These muscles drive hip extension and stabilize the pelvis, which are essential in tennis when pushing off into wide forehands, recovering back to center, or generating lift in rotational shots. Strengthening one glute at a time forces each side to work independently, correcting imbalances that naturally develop from years of dominant side hitting. For fills, this means more equal power distribution during lateral movement and greater stability when loading on either leg. The Swiss ball adds instability, transforming the exercise from a basic bridge into a full body stabilization challenge. To keep the hips level and the ball steady, Arthur must engage his deep core muscles, including the transverse abdominis and obliques. This improves trunk control during explosive changes of direction and supports a more stable base when he rotates into his forehand or backhand. A stronger core also protects his lower back from the repetitive, rotational forces of high-level tennis. This exercise also heavily targets the hamstrings, which are responsible for driving forward sprinting speed and controlling deceleration when stopping abruptly. With his foot elevated on the Swiss ball, the hamstrings must contract harder to support the hip lift and maintain balance. This helps prevent common injuries like hamstring strains or hip compensation issues, while improving the powerful first-step acceleration needed for defensive court coverage. Another overlooked benefit is the improvement in single-leg balance and proprioception. Tennis is played almost entirely on one leg at a time, loading, planting, striking, and recovering. By training under instability, Arthur improves neuromuscular control in the ankle-knee-hip chain, enabling cleaner footwork, sharper direction changes, and greater stability during stretch defensive positions.